Congressman. Good morning to you. So you return back to the House from recess. If Speaker Johnson moves to push this aid package through, does he risk being ousted as threatened by Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Well, I'm not even focused on that motion to vacate that Marjorie introduced 2 weeks ago. What I'm focused on is making sure that we're still moving forward and we're still advancing a conservative agenda. Now, when it comes to Ukraine aid, it's very clear. We do not want Russia to win. However, we've got to realize that this war has been botched by Joe Biden from the very beginning. It was Joe Biden who said early on that we would tolerate a quote unquote minor incursion, which has whetted the appetite of Putin. It was Joe Biden who slow walked lethal aid to the Ukrainians, not only before the war, but then after the invasion. Had this been handled better by Biden and we had not been so weak on the international stage, Putin would not have invaded. And if he did invade, the Ukrainians would have been able to stop the invasion. Unfortunately, the Biden administration is totally inept. Biden is totally weak, and Putin has taken advantage of this. The real problem here is Joe Biden and the radical leftist Democrats.
Yeah, what happens, though? Let's say she does call this to the floor for a vote to oust the speaker. Does somebody need to sit down with Marjorie Taylor Greene and just tell her to kind of calm down for a minute? I mean, there's a Rasmussen poll out today. Donald Trump's beating Joe Biden head-to-head by 8 points. And Congressman, Guy, it just seems like to me every time things are going even marginally well for Republicans, they go and mess it up. And that's what I think. Again, this is just my opinion. But if you vote to oust the speaker right now and get rid of Mike Johnson, that's not going to help Donald Trump win in November in any way.
Rob, you're absolutely correct. What we should be focused on is riding these tailwinds we have moving to the election and attacking Democrats and Joe Biden. The American people are with us overwhelmingly. If you look at issues on foreign affairs, they trust Republicans more than Democrats. They trust us more on immigration, border control, crime, even education. The first time ever in modern polling history where voters trust Republicans more than Democrats on even education. We should not be screwing this up. We should be united and focused on attacking radical leftists and putting the pressure on Joe Biden. You're absolutely correct. And as far as talking to Marjorie, of course, there's going to be conversations. As Chief Deputy Whip, we'll be talking to Marjorie. But again, we'll deal with the motion to vacate if it arises. In the meantime, let's just move full steam ahead and attack the Democrats.
So I know last week you were the driving force behind the motion to rename Dulles Airport Donald J. Trump Airport. But now, as we're hearing in Florida on the flip side of things, that they want to rename a prison in Miami the Donald J. Trump prison. What do you make of all of this? And do you actually think that Dulles could be renamed?
I do think Dulles could be renamed. You know, if we look at it, I did this for several reasons. One of it is I want to draw attention to the fact that that John Dulles was such a disastrous Secretary of the State. If you look at a lot of the problems we're facing today in the Middle East, particularly with our relationship with Iran, a lot of that started by Dulles mishandling international relations. Just look at what he did in Latin America. Yeah. But I digress, but we should look at renaming the airport. But if we rename it, we should rename it after the strongest U.S. president in my lifetime. Here, remember, President Trump was someone who had energy booming. We were actually exporting energy. The world was under control. You didn't have Russia invading Ukraine. You didn't have Hamas invading Israel. You had stability. You still had control in Afghanistan. From an economic point of view, you had real wage growth increasing. You had a very strong economy despite COVID. So why not name this airport after President Trump? And think about how incredible it would be if you had two international airports in D.C., both named after the two strongest Republicans in my lifetime, of course, Reagan and Trump.
Congressman, going to be a busy week. Hope to have you back soon. Good to see you again.